Alright, what's up YouTube? This is BoxingWave. So I just finished watching this hilarious ass video. I'm gonna get to Devin Haney in a minute, okay? I watched this video on the Boxing Voice. Shout out to Ness from the Boxing Voice. Make sure you subscribe to their channel. Okay. He did an interview with Mauricio Solomon of the WBC. Okay. And he asked a series of questions in this interview. And I'm not going to go over it all. Basically, Ness was speaking from a fan's perspective. Okay. He asked them at the very end of the interview, and this was the funniest part. He goes, "So, how do you become undisputed while becoming the franchise champion?" Right? As you're the franchise champion. And Mauricio Solomon responded with, "Well, you could still become undisputed because if you're the WBC franchise champion, you represent us." And Ness responds with, "Well, how can you become undisputed when you don't hold the title? Because we all know that Lomachenko doesn't have the full WBC title anymore. Devin Haney has it now. Because once he decided to become franchise champion, or once he was given or elevated to franchise champion, you no longer hold the full title. Someone else gets it. Basically, the franchise championship means you're always a WBC champion. You're always going to be recognized as a WBC champion, but you don't physically have the title. Okay? So, well, I'm sure you physically have a title, but you know what I'm saying. You're not the WBC champ. So, at that point in the interview, when he goes to answer that question, it was the funniest thing. He looked at Ness and he was just like, I'm not gonna get into it. I died laughing in my living room because it was the funniest thing because it's true. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And I wish more media had pressed him back when Canelo became franchise champion because it really does not make sense. Right? If you're awarded franchise champion, which is basically a lifetime membership to the WBC, it's just another way to make money from the fighters, right? You're going to be always recognized as a champion from the WBC. Excuse me, right? You can't win it, you can't lose it, or you can't lose it and regain it. You always had it. So if Lomachenko loses every fight from the rest of his career, he's always going to be looked at as franchise champion, right? So I thought it was a great interview. Make sure you guys watch it. Shout out to Ness. Just been putting in work. And, shout out to all the media that's asking the tough questions. All right. He spoke from a fan's perspective, which was great. Now, Devin Haney. All right, guys, listen. Disclaimer. Hear me out. All right. I need you guys to hear me out. Don't look at me and come up with your own conclusions based on how I look or anything like that. I have to say these things because I get these ridiculous comments, and you guys know what I mean. Devin Haney, does he deserve the WBC title? Yes and no. Yes. Why? Because he climbed up that ladder in order to get in first place. He's fought who he's had. What he had, 24 professional fights. He's fought who he's had to fight in order to get to that number one position. His last fight was against Abdulayev. Was it the greatest fighter? No, but that's who he had to beat in order to become that number one guy. Okay? So it's not his fault that Lomachenko became franchise champion and the belt was handed over to him. Who else were they going to hand it over to? Devin Haney just beat the second place guy, and Luke Campbell just lost his opportunity to become WBC champion by losing to Lomachenko recently. Okay? So, in that sense, he deserves it. Because who else are they going to give it to? They got to give it to someone. The concept is bullshit, but technically, he deserves that title. That's not his fault. He didn't make that decision. The WBC made that decision with Lomachenko. So in that sense, yes, he deserves the WBC title. He's deserving of it. On the other end, he didn't fight the man to get that title. This is why he doesn't deserve the title. He didn't beat Lomachenko in order to get it. He didn't beat him. So all of these people that are saying, oh, he's ducking, he's being ducked, you know, Lomachenko's ducking Devin Haney and stuff like that. Well, when it comes to that, I can see why you think that. Because, well, I don't know. I feel like it's too early to call that. Only because Devin Haney just became the #1 guy. Lomachenko wasn't fighting him next anyway. He was going to wait to the winner of Comey against Teofimo Lopez. But if you're saying that he ducked him because he was one fight away from becoming undisputed, instead becoming undisputed, you decided to give up your title and give it to Devin Haney instead of defending the title against Devin Haney, then yeah, that could be viewed as a duck. But still, we still have to wait to see what Lomachenko is going to do. Which brings me to my next point. Someone at some point has to interview Lomachenko and ask these questions. Okay? Lomachenko's a smart guy. I'm sure that he agreed to this franchise championship thing. Now, we've heard him say that he wants to become undisputed. Well, when we interview Lomachenko, we have to say, hey, about that franchise championship thing, do you still want to become undisputed? Why would you give up your title to Devin Haney if you were one fight away from becoming undisputed? What's the plan? Are you going to still fight Comey next? Or Lopez next? Or are you going to fight them and then fight Devin Haney after? What's the plan for Lomachenko? We need to know. If he can answer that question, then we have no issues. But since he just literally received the belt, we really don't know what Lomachenko has planned. And as far as the WBC and Mauricio Sulaiman, we need to revisit that question. Can you still become undisputed if you're the franchise champion? Because you're that champion, win or lose. So if you don't have a title, how can you become how can you become undisputed when there's another title available? Someone else is holding a title. You don't have all four. So Mauricio Sulaiman, at some point, he's going to have to answer that. And if he chooses not to, why not just switch up the rules to this title? What's the big deal? Why can't you just make some adjustments? Keep the franchise champion thing, but the rules need to be switched because this doesn't make sense. Instead of just saying, I don't want to get into it. Well, who else do we go to? If you don't want to get into, who else do we go to? So, listen, I think it's too soon to say what Lomachenko is doing as far as ducking. But I understand from both sides. Now, if you're a guy that has a YouTube, or if you're a fan that's just saying, well, if Lomachenko goes on to fight Comey or Teofimo Lopez, whoever wins that fight, he fights the winner of that fight. If they're telling you he's ducking Devin Haney because he went on to fight one of those two, they're full of shit and they have an agenda. Those people, you got to stay away from because they have an agenda. They're not here for boxing. They're here for something else. All right. But if you feel like if Lomachenko down the line does not fight this kid at all when he's in position and he holds a title, yes, that could be looked at as a duck, without a doubt. I think it's that simple. We just gotta wait and see what happens. If Lomachenko just still goes with the game plan, because he should fight that other fight first. Anybody that's telling you he should stop what he's doing to fight Devin Haney right now have an agenda. You know what I'm saying? That just doesn't make sense. Devin Haney just literally won the title or received the title. He just won his last fight weeks ago. So anyone that's telling you that, they're here for something else. But Lomachenko needs to answer these questions. We need to know from him. Because, dude, I thought you wanted to be undisputed. Why take this? Same thing with Canelo. I think Canelo's situation is a little worse, though, because Canelo's situation, and I know he's fighting Sergey Kovalev, and it's a good fight and everything, but that fight would have always been available. You know? That fight would have been available. All you had to do was fight Andrade, and that would have been that. You would have been undisputed right there. Andrade was available. You were available. And you wouldn't have been stripped of the IBF because you would have been doing a unification match for undisputed. So IBF wouldn't have stripped you. And if you didn't become franchise champion, the WBC wouldn't have stripped you neither. You would have just fought Andrade. Win or lose, you would have fought Andrade. Instead, you agreed to fight Sergey Kovalev at 175 in November. Kovalev was already tied up with Yard. So it looks as if it looks as if Canelo is ducking. You can't get mad at people that think Canelo was ducking Andrade. Because I thought that he wanted to become undisputed too. I thought that. Why not when you're 3 belts in? Why not? The Kovalev fight would have been on the table. You would have fought Andrade and won in September. Kovalev would have won against Yard. You guys could have had your fight next year. Early next year. If not until May, you know? Sometimes I just don't get why Kovalev, not Kovalev, I keep saying Kovalev. I just think Canelo's situation is a little worse. Not saying he is a duck. I'm just saying it looks like a duck. I know he's fighting Kovalev. I know Kovalev is a more decorated resume and everything like that. But okay, that's cool. Kovalev is a bigger guy. He's 175, blah, blah, more proven, this and that and the third. But Andrade, stylistically, maybe these guys said, you know what, let's take Kovalev instead. There's a lot of people just saying that Canelo's going to knock out Kovalev. They don't think he's going to have that much issues. We'll see on fight night. All right, so, yeah, man, I think you can make an argument for both. I just think that I personally believe that we need to hear what Lomachenko has to say about it. Shit, I still like to hear Canelo and what he has to say about it. You know, what's up? What's the goal with this franchise championship? Because it just seems like a lifetime membership to the WBC. That's what it seems like to me. You know, and let me tell you something. The worst part about it all is the timing. They want to elevate these guys to franchise champion right when they're one title away from being undisputed. That is the worst part. And I said this in a video yesterday. So it looks bad. It does look bad. It does look bad. And there's nothing wrong with anyone that's saying that. It does look bad. You know, I mean, that has nothing to do with race and all of this stuff that everybody's saying. It has nothing to do with that. Dudes may be ducking. Or they might not be. You know? Lomachenko may be ducking. Or he might not be ducking. We'll see. We'll have to wait and see if he's going to fight Devin Haney. Alright, so anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Alright, dislike the video. Support the channel. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.